Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-South Wrestling Review Series 1982. December 11th is our episode for the day as we finish off 82 with the last few weeks of the year. And we open up with a promo with Jim Duggan and Paul Bosch from Houston. Duggan basically says he is the toughest man in wrestling, the toughest man in the area, and he is going to continue to dominate. Paul Bosch was a promoter in the Houston area for 50 plus years and obviously managed to make quite a name for himself. Duggan and Lester Parks is up next. Parks not a guy we know a whole lot about. Duggan gets some ride time with him and on him and manages to take control pretty aggressively. Duggan sends him into the buckle pretty hard, and certainly the hacksaw doesn't want to take any backward steps he doesn't have to take. Big body slam by big old hacker, and he manages to stomp around, and then we kind of see the three-point stance, big football tackle type deal, and that big tackle is there. Then we see Mr. Wrestling 2 against Mike Bond. Wrestling 2 has been having problems with an unknown assailant as of late. That seems to continue, and they talk about that a good bit during commentary. The nature of things is that Wrestling 2 does not know who the individual is. That's not revealed to us in this calendar year. Most likely will be in 1983 because Watts is not one to drop his angles or stories or whatever have you. Wrestling 2, using that wrestling moniker, gets a series of side headlocks and chin locks and front face locks. The opponent, which happens to be Mike Bond, hangs with it pretty well, actually, believe it or not. Bond, one of the more competent enhancement talents they have in the area at the time. Of course, they cycle those in and out pretty regularly, but they're there regardless. And of course, Wrestling 2 basically uses a lot of ride time, keeping his opponent on the mat and the like. And then we see him hit the running knee lift. Paul Bosch interviews DiBiase and Bourne. DiBiase, the tag team champion and the Mid-South North American champion as well. And he's not happy about that going forward. That he's not being given credibility with the Junkyard Dog, a.k.a. Stagger Lee, being under the hood, and that is a problem for him. Marty Lundy against Stagger Lee is up next, and we also see a lot of people, some people returning to the area. Stagger Lee, of course, Junkyard Dog under the mask, at least that's what everyone believes. Running tackle by Lee early, and he manages the big body slam. And Lundy actually comes out of the back door on the body slam, which big deal for him at the time, I'm sure, just to be in here and getting the experience. I'd actually like to learn what he learned most from Watts. Big headbutt and a victory for Stagger Lee. Of course, DiBiase and Bourne versus Horner and Landell. Buddy Landell must have gone away for a little while because we haven't seen him in a few months. Returning here with a bit more of a babyface-ish run, or at least until they find something for him to do, I guess. Horner has been here in what I believe, I'm pretty sure, is his rookie year. Does pretty well for himself, and is always in the mix in the matches he's in. He's not getting squashed terribly yet. That wouldn't come for another couple years yet. But anyway, we see DiBiase backed off. Bourne backed off into the corner. Bourne, obviously having the second generation nature, gets some ride time on Horner. Horner manages the head scissors, and you see Bourne comes up and looks like $1,000,000. The backdrops and all of that by Landell sends DiBiase to the outside in a hurry. and he manages to stay pretty focused. Landell has not completely proven himself yet, but continues to be a good guy in the territory. Misses on a um, sunset flip, but they turn it into a pin spot anyway. Landell takes the arm of DiBiase and stays with it for a good number of minutes before tagging back to Tim Horner. Horner with a series of arm drags on both combatants as then we go back to the corner and a tag off. And Landell manages to to lead DiBiase into the corner for his own blind tag, which isn't good for him. Bourne again with the blind tag, and DiBiase comes in second rope this time from behind, elbow to the back of the neck on Landell, and DiBiase still wearing the black glove that has been so controversial in the last several months, and DiBiase tags to Bourne. Bourne hits a knee right on the bridge of the nose of Landell, and Landell does manage to come out the back door with that one. A bit of a surprise, takes a good bit of punishment. Horner, meanwhile, on the ring apron, waiting for the tag, not so patiently, and the tag team champions again with the control of the match and the tempo of said match. DiBiase and Bourne a really good team, and it shows here. Obviously, being good friends outside the ring also helps with tag team endeavors and the like, and without a doubt, it is a pretty major thing. We see Bourne using a bit more power moves, and he gets a near fall again. Tag off to DiBiase, DiBiase back in, and they still stay cut off on Landell. Really good match, actually, if you want to see kind of the use of enhancement talent and how to get good matches that fill time out of lopsided matches. This is a good way to do that, to learn that skill, and DiBiase and Bourne obviously get the victory eventually here. Tony Atlas and Tug Taylor up next. Tug Taylor, father of Chaz Taylor. I didn't know that he went back this far, in all honesty. Atlas manages a few arm drags and a drop kick. Taylor, my first exposure to Tug Taylor was 1991-ish, 92-ish on the GWF. So my knowledge of him is extremely limited, but he is a rather husky fellow who manages to hit things like full Nelsons and the like on Tony Atlas here. Atlas, of course, is known for his power and continues to be through his run in Mid-South, which I did not know he had here. I know he did Georgia in the WWF, and IWCCW did not know that he was a major deal in the Mid-South region. And so, Atlas with the Irish whip into the corner, gets a big monkey flip. Yes, weird move for Tony Atlas to do. At least not used to seeing a power guy do a monkey flip out of the corner, but anyhow. Hard shot by Atlas or by Taylor. Taylor takes Atlas out of the corner, tries to anyway, doesn't get all he wants on it, and Atlas hits a few hard shots and manages to bring his guy out for a headbutt, and then hits a second one, finally taking Big Tug Taylor down. Modified press slam with Taylor over his head, and Atlas gets a victory there. And he goes to the second rope on the inside, manages to hit a punch to the top of the head, and Atlas gets a victory there. Gino Hernandez, new to the area. Maybe that's part of the involvement with Houston. Don't really know. Gino Hernandez and Tony Torres. Torres has been a reasonable influence here throughout the year 1982. Hernandez, been wrestling since about 77, 78, mainly in Texas, Houston area. Lots of rumors as far as the identity of his father. Paul Bosch has been talked about. Of course, Gino dies, I believe, in 87, 86, 87, of some say crime, others say drug overdose, who knows. But suspicious death for Gino Hernandez would have been amazing to see him hang around through the rest of the 80s and into the 90s, but not meant to be. He gets some wrestling mat time, and Hernandez really does quite well, although Torres hangs right with him for the first several minutes of the contest. Um, Hernandez phenomenal at keeping a guy on the ground and hits a leg grapevine, among other things. Doesn't waste any motion, but Torres managing to fight quite well, maybe because Hernandez is new. Actually does a pass the guard, among other things, does Hernandez, and the match is quite significant with grappling, spinning toe hold by Hernandez, and he eventually manages to continue to stay on that leg and eventually gets a victory in the relatively quick order. I mean, it's a longer match than I expected it to be upon first glance, but it's there. Your main event is Chavo Guerrero and Mr. Olympia versus the Davidsons. I don't know if they're going to be a regular team in the territory into 1983 or whether this was just a filler match. Of course, Chavo Guerrero, big in the Texas area among other places, trying to get a run here in Mid-South. Also, he was big in LA. Mr. Olympia, probably one of the biggest stars to come out of the area of Mid-South, at least in early 80s anyway. Takedown and some relatively basic moves here. Chavo comes back in after Olympia's been into kind of clean house. We see both guys staying on the arm of one of the Davidsons. Davidson's decked out in all red this time around. And, we kind of got about 2 minutes left in the contest. I love the fact that Mid-South always packed wrestling as much as they could, but we do not see a finish in this particular contest, and we close on that particular occasion. We'll be back with more right after this.